Hey, what's up, world, and welcome to the 97th edition of the Take One podcast. I am your host, August C. Jones, and we got a few things to cover today. We got some reboots, we got some sequels that are coming soon, and all that good stuff, as well as some new news on the Disney streaming service, and then we're going to get into the box office segment of what dominated this past weekend. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. So, news had came out that Shrek, think there were 4 movies of Shrek. Yeah, Shrek. Yeah, I think it was about 4 movies in. I really stopped watching it after like the second one. But Shrek is about to get a reboot. Yes, Shrek is about to get a reboot. Comcast had recently bought DreamWorks for $3.8 billion back in 2016, and now they have their eyes to reboot the Shrek franchise, as well as Puss in Boots, because Puss in Boots, if you guys remember, came from the Shrek, I was about to say shrimp, Shrek franchise, had his own movie, and I think it's still an ongoing show on Netflix. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, he had a show on Netflix or whatever, so kind of a real popular character. But yeah, they're going to do a reboot. The creator, or the person in charge, is Christopher Melodendry. I'm thinking I'm pronouncing that right, but he's the guy that's looking over the whole project or whatever. And like I said, they're gonna bring Puss in Boots. They're rebooting Puss in Boots as well. So more than likely, the character is gonna reappear in the new Shrek franchise, and more than likely have another spinoff. And I'm gonna give you my thoughts after I say all this. But basically, right now it hasn't been penned. There's no script for it. More than likely they probably have actors and actresses in mind to play some of the roles. I'm not entirely sure if they're going to bring back every single one of the characters, but for sure it's going to be Shrek, Donkey, and Puss in Boots. More than likely Fiona is going to be brought back, and then they're going to have multiple other characters or whatnot brought back. But for right now, the script hasn't been penned yet. They trying to find a story to fit it. So more than likely, it's not going to be. It's not going to happen next year. It's not going to happen next year. If anything, they probably might start production next year, because they say that they want this to come out sooner rather than later. So it's a high priority in their list of movies to get done within the next, I'll say, 2 to 3 years, or say 3 plus years or whatever. I'll stick to 2 to 3 years. Yeah. So they're more than likely getting really just like drumming down on it, just trying to get whatever they can get for it and make sure that everything is right. And just basically my initial thoughts on this is like, I don't care. I don't really care for the Shrek franchise. As far as that, they can make a million reboots and I really wouldn't care. If anything, I'll probably just take my son to go see it, because he did like the first Shrek movie and stuff like that. So, I mean, I don't know if he watched Puss in Boots, but I mean, he is all down for these kid type movies, and I'll take him to go see it. But it's nothing that I will see personally unless it looks good. But just initially, even though I'm not a fan or, anyone that's clamoring for this, I don't really see a point in it, because, I mean, Shrek ended maybe some odd years ago, but it was relatively recently. And I don't see any need for, a Shrek reboot. This is a time where, you got Disney and Pixar coming out with original films. I mean, just take away the sequels or whatever, but a lot of times there's sequels to original films. It's nothing to where it's like they're rebooting this and that and blah, blah, blah. Incredibles was an original film, and they made a sequel from that. So this is a time where they should be coming up with new stories, new characters, new outlooks on just the creativity and the artistry of animation. And they should just be trying to do that instead of trying to reboot a franchise that was loved by a lot of people, but, it ended. Just let it end. Either that or create another sequel, which it seems like that's not something that they're trying to do, which I get it. But, I mean, try to do something new. Don't try to do the same thing over again. Don't try to, whatever. Just, this is a time to where they can do something different, or maybe have a spin-off. Maybe do that. Have a spin-off of a character. Maybe not a Shrek character or anything like that, but just something that's connected to the Shrek universe. Maybe do something like that. And then maybe if that's successful, and then maybe they can do like another film to where they can have the combination, maybe Shrek cameo in that film or something like that. I mean, it's a lot of possibilities to do rather than just reboot. It really doesn't make any sense. And then it's like, if you're going to reboot, of course, you're not going to use the same characters. So you're not going to have the iconic, voices of Mike Myers and Antonio Banderas, who did the voice of Puss in Boots, or, Cameron Diaz, who did Fiona, and Eddie Murphy, who did Donkey. You're not going to have those voices back. Now, that's not to say that you can't get other iconic voices to voice the characters again, or newer characters to make popular and everything else. It's not to say, like, I'm not down in it at all, but a lot of people then came to favor these iconic characters. When you think of Shrek, you think Mike Myers. When you think of Donkey, you think Eddie Murphy. Fiona, you think Cameron Diaz. You think Puss in Boots, you think Antonio Banderas. Those are the names that you think of, because the voices, not even just the names, but the voices stood out more than anything, but I don't know, I don't see no point in it. I feel like this is a great time, like I said, to do something different in the light of Disney dominating with the, movies from Marvel to, Star Wars, Lucasfilm and all that stuff. And then Pixar killing it every year. It's like you need something new and inventive. Create a new, grander story. I don't think that there really recently has been a story outside of, animated story outside of Pixar from like Illumination or, DreamWorks that has really hit super, super, super hard. Now, I could be wrong. I mean, of course, you got the Minions and Despicable Me, which are fan favorites. I don't know about the Minions, but I know kids love it. I know a lot of adults and critics love the Despicable Me movies. Maybe not all of them, but just the, overlook of the whole thing. They do rather enjoy it. Now, when it comes to like any other movies, I mean, you're going to be hard pressed to think of any hard hitting, crazy, money making type films outside of the Despicable Me's and Minions. They're gonna have movies that did really good, but really don't nobody care too much about. I mean, what is it? God, they just came out with one. The Secret Life of Pets did great at the box office, did huge numbers, but you go to anybody. Do you remember any of the names in there? Do you remember any of the voices besides Kevin Hart? Do you remember any of the names, the actors or actresses who played up in the movie? Do you remember any of that? The characters' names or anything? You don't remember that. They don't stand out because they're good for the moment, but other than that, they don't last long. And that's one of the things that they should just be working on, is getting movies with memorable characters and building off of that. Building your own Shrek. Not like, literally, but building your own Shrek type character where people know it. When you say the name Shrek, automatically they know exactly what Shrek looked like. They know who play his voice. They should be trying to do that instead of recreating that, because it really makes no sense at all. It really doesn't. So, I mean, as far as, like I said, as this goes, I really don't care. If I go see it, it's because it may end up looking really interesting. And then on top of that, mainly because this is a movie I could take my son to go see. Bam. And that's really about it. But it really is no point to reboot the Shrek franchise. There's really no point. It came off of It came off originality. I can see if it was a fairy tale thing like Disney always do with like Little Mermaid, Cinderella and stuff. Those are stories before Disney got their claws on them and, reinvented them in the Disney light. I can see if it was like that. Then you're doing another version of that classical character. But, I mean, come on, be original. Just really be original. It's not that hard. So let's go on to the next one. Another movie, well, a movie that is coming out with a sequel next year, and just came out with this new release date, Frozen 2. And I forgot to remind y'all, this is movie notes, so yeah, it kind of slipped my mind. But in any case, Frozen 2 is coming out next year, and the date moves up, not too far, just a week in advance. So the first release date was November 27th, 2019. Now it's coming out November 22nd, 2019. And basically, I don't know. I guess they wanted to be closer to, Thanksgiving. Maybe. I'm guessing that's what they were trying to go for. But yeah, so Jennifer Lee and, Evan Rachel Wood and Sterling Brown are set to join the cast along with everyone else. So everybody else is coming back from the original cast, reprising their characters. And we're going to have some new additions by, like I said, Evan Rachel Wood and Sterling K. Brown. And Jennifer Lee and Chris Buck are directing again. Same directors from the first film are coming back to direct it. And basically, Alison Schroeder, I don't know how to pronounce it. But the writer of Hidden Figures is penning the script for this movie. And it's like, I really didn't care too much for, Frozen. Really didn't care too much for it. It was a movie that I felt was overhyped due to the song Let It Go. Other than that, I mean, I haven't really heard anything too much about the story. The only thing that really stands out about it is really just the characters and just the song. Which I think, and in hindsight, that's really all that kind of matters, As long as they remember some of the good stuff from your movie. And this movie the original did $1.3 billion. So it's the highest grossing animated film of all time. So that's nothing to kind of just shrug off and be like, okay, that ain't nothing or whatever. It's something to, look at and be like, yeah, this is kind of doing something. I didn't really care for it, but I could see why people or, kids like it or whatever. Because when you look at it, that's really all the people that really like it. Unless you I can say I've met some females that are in their 20s that do love Frozen, so a lot of times you might find people like that, but mainly just kids, and I can see, it has a lot of, ways to where, you Halloween dress up characters that you can like and all that stuff, but I mean, it was just overrated, but it garnered a part 2. $1.3 billion, so, hey, I mean, I will make 10 sequels off of that, so, I mean, it is whatever. It will get people excited for who are fans of the franchise due to the fact that, yeah, we get a week a little bit earlier, but, I mean, they did it with, Avengers this year, so, I think it really don't matter, but it's quicker. It makes it, we get to see this movie a little bit sooner. So the people who are real big fans of this are going to be happy. Maybe they'll be happy if it was a little bit earlier, but I mean, they're still working on the movie. So, and these animated films take a good amount of time to do. So, I mean, if you're going to get it right. Maybe I might end up checking this out and finding that Frozen 2 was way better than the first one to me. I don't know, but I mean, that's simply what it is. So moving on to the last thing in movie notes, it just recently came out that Bad Boys 3 is confirmed again. So production for Bad Boys 3 or Bad Boys for Life, whatever the real original, whatever the title is going to be, it starts production mid-January of next year. And it already got its directors, and it's penned by Chris Renner. And, so, I mean, Will Smith came out on his Instagram with Martin Lawrence and basically did 10-20 second video, just basically excited for the fact that Bad Boys 3 is on and everything else, since it's been on and off and all that. So it's been confirmed. Even though it's been confirmed several times before, this is one of those movies where it's kind of like the Gambit movie, which will never happen, especially now. But it's kind of like just one of those movies where it's been constantly in talks, constantly just put out there. It's going to start production. It's going to do this. But then you end up finding out that, yeah, talks fell through, or this happened. We lost the director. We lost the writer, or whatever that. You know, you end up finding out all this stuff about it that, you know, this is the reason why this movie isn't going to come out. And that's basically what this movie has gone through. So my whole thoughts on it is just, when it comes out, it comes out. Well, when they finally go into production, set photos and everything, then that's when I will believe it. And then when I see the trailer, then I will believe it. Like, truly, without a doubt. But for now, it's like, okay, let's see if they get started first. Let's see if everything goes according to plan. They actually start, you know, shooting production next year or whatever, and get everything started. As far as I know, the release date hasn't been set, but more than likely it's going to be in 2020. Probably early 2020, maybe between January and March. I tend to believe. Maybe they, depending on how they feel about it, they might end up pushing it to a late spring, maybe mid-summer type release date. So, and it all depends on, just how it comes out, how they feel about it, and then what movies are coming out around certain times and what will best fit the release date for this movie. Because if you put a movie out, especially a movie with the last one coming out in 2003, you gonna have a movie that has a part 3 coming out in 2020, and it's going up against a movie that's more relevant, more popular. It's not going to fare well. So they would do best to put it in a range of like films that's not going for the same audience, or just a dead weekend where nothing else major is coming out, and then that way they can grab as much money as they can before the next week or 2 weeks later when a bigger movie comes in and tries to take that money from them. So, but I mean, if it comes out, it comes out. I'm happy for it, you know. And I know before they were talking about doing a part 3 and a part 4 and all this stuff, and they had plans and everything, and that was one of the things that they had mentioned before all the plans fell through and all that stuff. It's like, I hope that this be the last one. They don't need any spinoffs, you know, nothing else. This should absolutely be the last one. Both of them should retire. Maybe one of them die or whatever the heck. However you're going to end it off, this should definitely be the last Bad Boys movie. They don't need anything else. Part 3, have a whole trilogy, and that's it. This is a movie that should have happened years ago, but didn't. But now that they're hopefully getting started to actually get this, you know, going, it should end up just being the last one. They should just make this absolutely be the last one. No more after this, and just go from there. Just, you know, this should be the swan song, you know. Martin Lawrence, and just kill it. Like, give it like a great script, and just have it just executed like just awesomely. Just make it like a great film. Because I know a lot of people, a lot of critics didn't like Bad Boys 2. I liked it. Maybe I had to rewatch it again to see if I feel the same way. But I like the first one, and I like the second one. The first one came out in 1995. Second one, 2003. This one about to be 2020. I'm estimating, because I don't think that they're going to get started next year, at the beginning of next year, and it comes out at the end of next year. So this one going to come out in 2020. So, you know, they're both getting older. Will Smith and Martin Lawrence aren't spring chickens, as you know, as the saying goes. So they really don't have too much going more for them as far as action. Martin Lawrence hasn't really been in too many movies, especially hasn't been in action films. Actually a lot lately. I think the last one he may have been in was either Blue Streak or Black Knight, whichever one of those. And he may have been in one after that, but maybe, I don't know. Nothing else comes to mind, but he hasn't really been in no big major action type of movies. Will Smith did Suicide Squad. He's been more in films lately. So when it comes to that, it's whatever. But I don't know, like, yeah, I don't know. Like, they're both getting older, so they do need to get this done as soon as possible and get it out the way. Because I don't know how much longer they have as far as, it being believable as them as cops. This should be like their characters retired and then that's done with it. So, but anyway, let's go ahead and jump real quick right into show notes. So, basically, it has came out. We all know about the Disney streaming service is set to drop next year. It's going to inquire a whole bunch of craziness. It's going to go head to head with Netflix and go head to head with Amazon and Hulu and everything else. So with them acquiring 21st Century Fox, it's all going to make it so good as far as just what they have to offer. There's just not Disney stuff, but it's a whole plethora of crazy just stuff that they're going to have in it. And one of the things that they did recently say they was going to come out and do, that they were going to expand the MCU from the big screen to the small screen as far as their streaming service go. I don't know if the canceled Netflix Marvel shows are going to be added to the list, but they did come out and say that they were going to do a Scarlet Witch miniseries, or Scarlet Witch limited series, as they're going to call it, a Loki limited series, and now they're talking about doing a Falcon and Winter Soldier mini limited series or whatever. And from what I hear is that it's going to be like a buddy cop type of thing, and it's going to play off of their camaraderie or their chemistry that they had in Civil War. The bickering back and forth and everything else. And I don't have no problem with that. I really don't. I really don't have a problem with that. It seemed like it's going to be good. And their whole mentality was taking characters that may not have a spotlight as far as the theatrical experience, and just bringing them to the streaming service and giving them a chance to shine. So you're going to more than likely see not only the four names that I mentioned, Loki, Scarlet Witch, Bucky, and Falcon, but you're going to probably see maybe War Machine or Vision or, somebody else, someone like the lower tier people. You're going to see a lot of kind of like series like that. And so with them doing this, I think that this would be perfect. I mean, whatever the fate lies in for Captain America, maybe neither one of them darn the Captain America mantle. Maybe it's just something to where they end up, a new organization ends up getting set up. Maybe it's not S.H.I.E.L.D. Maybe it's just something else. Maybe another name from the comic books. I don't know. But, and then they end up joining that and end up being partners where, you got Bucky and Falcon, doing the buddy cop thing and going around the world and doing this stuff. I really can see some heavy potential for this. Heavy potential. This seemed like it will be good as fuck. I could see it in a movie sense, but in a long storytelling sense, as far as a TV show or a TV series, yeah, I can really see it. I really can. And with Disney, which I don't know how true it is, because they say all this stuff where they're going to put the production that they will put in the movie in these shows. I think after they see as much money as they burning off and as much stuff as they want to do, that they're going to probably have to scale back a little bit of the money. So, just to see if this is one of the shows that they end up doing that's going to end up being released within the first 6 months of the streaming service being out, I'm down with seeing it. If it's going to be a high budgeted, type of film, and then you're going to have, Sebastian Stan and Anthony Mackie reprising their roles as their respective characters, I have no problem with it. It seems like it's going to be awesome. And Kevin Feige, I believe, has he's overseeing this as well. So it's not two different divisions as far as like Netflix and, whatever, that he's going to see this. But if he's not, hopefully there's still going to be some. But I believe that he's still going to have a hand in everything that's going to be involved in these series that's going to be on the streaming service. But I don't know. This seemed pretty interesting. It seemed like something that I would be very willing to check out, and I hopefully it ends up being real good, especially not even just this show, but any other show that they come out with. You know, any other show, they have the potential to do a Hawkeye series. More than likely, he's not going to have his own movie. But Jeremy Renner is a charismatic actor. He just has not been given the spotlight. He is a character. Like glimmers. I think that's the word. You see glimmers of that in Age of Ultron. I love the talk that he has with Scarlet Witch and trying to persuade her that, like, look, you can either stay here and then I'll send somebody to come get you, or you could come out there and you're going to be an Avenger. Just how he said that whole thing where he was like, none of this makes sense. We're fighting is a flying city. We're on a flying city with robots attacking, and I have a bow and arrow. None of this makes sense. And that was just funny. Just not only, I know it was written for him, but just in the way he delivered it. He has little glimmers of what he can do, even from what he did in Mission Impossible movies. He didn't stand out, but you can see that he has something in that. What was the movie this year? One of my favorite movies of this year, Tag. What he did with his role and how he just executed his everything in there. It was really good. Like, I enjoyed his performance. Like, he was one of the best parts, if not the best part, in Tag. So for him to have a role, have his own limited series on the streaming service as Hawkeye, I would be happy as hell. I would be happy if they did a theatrical movie with him and Black Widow having their own kind of like movie together, the buddy cop type thing, buddy agents, I guess you could say. I feel like that will probably be good, but a lot of people ain't clamoring for that, so they're not gonna make it. But with this streaming service, it gives it hope. But going back to the whole Bucky and Falcon thing, I think that could really work. I'm really looking forward to it. Really am. So let's go ahead and jump from that to the box office segment. And that will wrap off this episode. So let's go ahead and jump into the box office segment. The box office segment, basically how I do it, if this is your first time hearing this, I do where I go over my last week's predictions for this past weekend, what dominated, and then let you guys know what movies are coming out this weekend and what my predictions are for those movies, what will dominate the top 5. So, without any further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. So, my last week's predictions were that Bohemian Rhapsody was going to take the number 1 spot. Nutcracker in the Four Realms was going to take the number 2 spot. Nobody's Fool was going to take the number 3. Halloween 2018 was going to come in at number 4. And The Star is Born was going to be at number 5. I was damn near close. If I would have switched 2 movies, I would have been good, because Bohemian Rhapsody did come in at number 1 over the weekend, doing $51 million domestically, $55 million, and worldwide $149 million. God damn. Then we got the Nutcracker in the Four Realms taking the number 2 spot over the weekend with $20.3 million domestically, $21 million, and worldwide $60 million. Nobody's Fool took the number 3 spot over the weekend with $13 million domestically, $14.6 million, and worldwide $14.9 million. A Star is Born took the number 4 spot over the weekend with $11 million. Domestically, $166 million, and worldwide, $296 million. And then to round off the top 5 highest grosses over this weekend was Halloween 2018, with over the weekend took in $10.8 million. Domestically, $150 million, and worldwide, $230 million. Now, what stands out to me in this whole, box office thing or whatever, was that I was wrong. A Star is Born did better than Halloween this past weekend. As far as big of an opening that Halloween did, I thought that it was going to stay above it. But to see that A Star is Born, even by a little bit, did better than Halloween 2018, especially with the opening weekend that it had, I was shocked. But it seemed like A Star is Born was just liked by more people. It didn't have a big opening, but it was big for that movie. It didn't make a big splash like Halloween, or it wasn't like as big as Halloween, but there was a lot of people that are wanting to see this type of film. So that's one of the things that really stood out to me. It was just super crazy. Like I seriously thought that it was gonna stay the same. Just just the two movies from the box office of last weekend was going to be kind of just stay in the same order. You have Halloween above A Star Is Born, but nah, you really don't. And that's just crazy to me. But to look at Bohemian Rhapsody in the worldwide total, 149 million over the weekend. God damn. I mean, that's something. Like, I've seen the movie. I've seen it. I've seen all three of the top three. Actually, everything in the top five I've seen. But I've seen Bohemian Rhapsody over the weekend. So, and I liked it. I really did. I don't know too much about Freddie Mercury. It was a lot of songs that they performed that I didn't even know that this group performed. This is my first time hearing about the group as far as the name goes when this movie was getting closer to its release date. I didn't know. I knew the songs, We Will Rock You, We Are the Champions, what is it? A lot of Bohemian Rhapsody. One of the other songs. Actually, that was the song that was played on the commercial for Suicide Squad. So it was like I've heard a lot of these songs before, and I knew of them because they were so big. I just didn't know that the same group made these, songs. So that was one of the things that stood out to me in this movie. But I mean, I guess a lot of people. Well, I ain't gonna guess. A lot of people love the group Queen and what they did for music and everything else, and wanted to know about God dang it, Freddie Mercury's life or whatever. So I mean, it was real good, and I mean, I kind of knew it was going to take the number one spot. When I was making my list for last week of the predictions, it was like I was thinking like, dang, should I put the Nutcracker at number one or Bohemian Rhapsody? But I'm just kind of like looking at everything, and I'm just like, the Nutcracker and the Four Realms, even just leading to its release, it didn't really have a splash. Like, the trailers wasn't really that popping. It wasn't poppiness or anything. It wasn't really like looking too incredible. It wasn't a movie that I was like, oh my God, I gotta see this. Not just that I'm going to take my son to go see this. My son would love it. It's like, I got to go see this. It's certain kids' movies that I would see that like, I want to go see it. Even if I don't go with that little boy, I'm going to go by myself. Wreck-It Ralph 2 is one of those movies that even if I don't take my son, I will go see it by myself. It's certain movies like that. And Nutcracker and the Four Realms was one of those movies where I didn't really care for it to actually, it wasn't anything exciting for me to see. It was just, I would take my son, and that's basically what it boiled down to be. So, I just chose Bohemian Rhapsody because I thought that probably would have a huge splash, especially with the popularity of the group and their songs. So, I'm like, this is like a movie that would take the number one spot. And yeah, it did. It did way better than Nutcracker and the Four Realms. I really didn't have any hope for that one. Nobody's Fool, I didn't think that was going to crack the top two, especially with Nutcracker being like a really big kids movie, so I can see a lot of kids going to go see it. And then just Bohemian Rhapsody, as I just discussed. And then Nobody's Fool, it was just like, that movie didn't really seem like it had a lot of promotion or just a lot of buzz going behind it, So it seemed like a movie that, a lot of people want to see, but I just didn't really see too much about it that made me want to put it at the number two. So yeah, but in any case, yeah, those are my thoughts on the top five. So what's coming out this weekend, you ask? Well, let me tell you. There are 3 big movies coming out this weekend. One is a kids movie. A kids movie. I don't know why I said that twice, but yeah. So Dr. Seuss The Grinch, an animated film. Nothing to do with Jim Carrey or anything else, because I know a lot of people really like that. But yeah, it's an animated film. Illumination is behind it. The same, company that brought us the Minions and Despicable Me and all that stuff. It's coming out this weekend. Then we have Overlord. which is a horror action thriller type film. Believe it is connected to the Cloverfield franchise or whatever, so I'm really curious to see that. And then you have The Girl in the Spider's Web, which is a continuing, or it's a connective story to The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. And give you my priority list. I don't know why my voice just cracked. I'm still kind of going through the voice thing. From time to time I cough and my voice haven't came in. I can't do the Mariah Carey, high notes when I sing, but forgive me. But priority list. I really couldn't say, like, all these movies I really want to see. Dr. Seuss, I say, is one of those, well, Dr. Seuss the Grinch is one of those movies where if I don't take my son, I will go see it myself because it does look interesting, but I really want to take my son. So more than likely, we might end up going Friday. Thursday, I really do want to go see either Overlord or The Girl in the Spider's Web. Oh my gosh. What's the priority? Gosh. Because both of them I kind of want to see equally. Overlord, I don't know if that's going to be a great movie. I feel like I might go into it anticipating a lot and then come out disappointed. So that's one of the things that's lingering in my mind. So, oh my gosh. Let's just say Overlord. Because I don't know, like right now I'm just going on how I feel right now. I'm in the mood to watch a zombie horror type film. We ain't had like a horror film in like ever since Halloween. And even before that, it wasn't really too much. I mean, you had like the kids horror films, but Hellfest, I mean, it wasn't really that many as far as leading to this movie. So I'm kind of like overdue for a horror film. So let's just say Overlord be my first priority. Girl in the Spider's Web, and then Dr. Seuss. But yeah, those are just my priorities of what I would want to go see, or priorities to see. But in any case, let's go ahead and wrap this up with my predictions for this coming weekend. So my predictions is that I think that The Grinch is going to top Bohemian Rhapsody for the number 1 spot, which is going to knock Bohemian Rhapsody down to number 2. The Girl in the Spider's Web, I think it has enough buzz to where it is going to be in the top 3, and I think it's going to be at number 3. The Nutcracker and the Four Realms are going to be, is going to be at number 4, and Nobody's Fool. Damn. I'm kind of thinking, should I change it real quick? Because I might end up putting Overlord in the top 5. Or at number 5. You know what? I'm going to take a risk. I'm going to keep Nobody's Fool right there at number 5. So the top 5 for me is going to be Dr. Seuss The Grinch at number 1, number 2, Bohemian Rhapsody, number 3, The Girl in the Spider's Web, number 4, The Nutcracker and the Four Realms, and number 5, Nobody's Fool. Those are my top 5. I'm going to take that risk. I feel like Overlord is maybe going to topple that, but I think Nobody's Fool is going to end up going to like keeping its place. I really think so. Maybe if Overlord does topple, it's probably won't be that much because I don't think it has enough buzz, but I'm going to just go off of that. So with that said, that ends this episode of the Take One Podcast. I'd like to thank you guys for joining me, and yeah, I think that's about it. We only got a few more episodes until the 100th episode of the Take One Podcast, and I will catch you guys on the next one. May have another episode out this week. I don't know, but I'm going to see. If I do, I'm gonna try not to have it come out Saturday or Sunday, whatever. So, but I may or may not. It depends how I feel. But in any case, I will catch you guys on episode 98. Hey, before you guys leave, make sure you hit that like button as well as that subscribe button. And you see that little bell, make sure you hit that to turn on your notifications. That way you'll be notified for anything that appears on my channel. Hope to see you guys next time. Peace out.